Right now we have Jordan and Brian on the Taco Bell hotline from MMA Nonstop. What's going on, gentlemen?
How you doing?
Doing well.
How's it going?
Doing well. Doing well. Thanks for being here. UFC 139. An excellent display of mixed martial arts for those who are lovers of the sport like ourselves, or for those who are wetting their whistle, having a casual interest, wondering why is Fox doing what they're doing, and having this become a more mainstream sport in the U.S. and around the world. Awesome display. My man Hindu edging out Hendo. I'm excited, man. It was a great performance. We'll let the experts tell us. Why don't we start with y'all? Take your pick. Go ahead.
Dan Henderson versus Shogun Rua last night. If you weren't watching, you missed maybe one of the, if not the greatest fight of all time, one of the top 3 fights of all time already. I didn't think that fight was going out of the first round. I didn't think Shogun was going to, Mauricio Rua was going to get out of that first round. Dan Henderson took some huge shots, gave it to him, and Shogun kept fighting back. Up until the fact that in the 4th round he started winning the fight and just kind of dismantled Dan Henderson in the last. And this fight went 5 rounds now. That main events go non-title main events go 5 rounds in the UFC,
right?
And it was an amazing fight.
Yeah, and you know, much more action in my estimation than boxing, and that I think may have had its golden age probably about 30 years ago. Now, MMA is definitely where the action and activity is, but not the only fight on the card at UFC 139 last night. Anything else jump out at you during the evening?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Uriah Faber did an excellent job of absolutely dismantling Brian Bowles. He did it with kicks, he did it with punches, and then he finally ended up submitting him, which is absolutely perfect for the UFC, because now the UFC gets to promote a rubber match more than likely with Uriah Faber and Dominic Cruz, 2 guys who are absolutely at the top of their game, easily marketable. And that might be a fight that you could throw on Fox, and it will definitely be a longer fight than the 64 seconds that we saw last weekend. And it will be high impact, high energy, and a lot of fun for fans to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that Fox, the next UFC on Fox has already been set for January 28th. So
that's right.
Faber could bounce back fast enough to make that bout.
He definitely could. I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if I see Dominic Cruz and Uriah Faber hosting the first ever Tough season, the Ultimate Fighter season on FX next year. So
right.
I don't actually think that we're probably going to see them on that show. We may see a Chael Sonnen fight, not Anderson Silva, but a fight. Anderson Silva's probably going to come back in June, and I don't think Chael Sonnen wants to stay out. So I would be surprised if you see someone like Chael Sonnen main event that card on the UFC on Fox on January 28th in Chicago.
Now, if we look back to last night, the Vanderlei Silva and Kung Lee fight, I would have sworn that would have been fight of the night until Rua and Henderson happened.
Well, actually, you'd be right, because the Vanderlei Silva Kung Lee fight was actually the fight of the night, as well as the Shogun Rua Dan Henderson fight. They actually gave them both the fights of the night, because that fight was amazing. I mean, seeing that Vanderlei Silva, he gave shots to Kung Lee, and Kung Lee was there's fantastic spinning back kicks, but he ate punches and bunches really, and then he finally got that TKO in the second round. But that was an incredible fight, very, very strong, especially after Vanderlei's last loss that he had to Chris Lieben at UFC 132.
Yeah,
you could really tell by watching Kung Lee fight, which is the first time I've really gotten to see him since he's been in Strikeforce for so long. But you can tell just by watching him why he's been in 12 movies.
Exactly.
But he might not be in one for a while because of what happened to his nose.
Yeah, but he's spinning left and right. He's got kicks. He threw an axe kick, spinning 360 heel kicks. I mean, Silva couldn't get close for a while. When he finally did get in and got within the range, he put a hurting on Vanderlei, or he put a hurting on Kung Lee rather. But yeah, I mean, he's exciting to watch. He's like a human highlight reel.
And you mentioned that you thought that was the fight of the night until the Shogun Dan Henderson fight, and there was 3 or 4 different times in that Dan Henderson fight that I said, hey guys, this fight's over, and either Shogun or Dan Henderson kept fighting back, and now you have Dan Henderson winning that fight by a very narrow decision. He's going to be able to fight either John Jones or Anderson Silva for the title. The president of the UFC, Dana White, is okay with him either moving down to 185 or staying at 205 and fighting for a title after the respective people that are in line fight for it.
But it's just me that after seeing how quickly he gassed out, I think Henderson should stay at 205 because cutting down to 185, and with his the way he sends the gas so quickly now, it's best for him to keep his weight and his conditioning up.
Yeah, and you make a really good point there because Hendo's had some trouble getting into deep waters. When you go into 4 and 5, he really starts to slow down, and that's not where you want to fight Anderson Silva anyway. Jones has only had one fight go into the 4th round, so if I were making the fight, if I were Hendo, I would probably end up choosing to fight John Jones. Then you've got old school versus new school. You've got the long, lanky wrestler with interesting striking techniques going against the classic wrestler in Hendo.
I mean, just remember, though, that Dan Henderson is 41 years old, though. I mean, he put on a great performance, but a 41-year-old fighting against, the new breed of John Jones may be a tough pill to swallow.
And just real quick, speaking of old school, hadn't seen Stephan Bonner in a while. The American Psycho came back with a unanimous decision versus Kyle Kingsbury last night, and he was in what Dana White has called the most important fight in UFC history. That tough one championship against
Forrest Griffin.
Yes, against Forrest. So what do you think his chances are in the future, finally coming back? I guess the art thing didn't work out too well.
Yeah, I see Stephan Bonner and Wanderlei Silva kind of having the same roles in their respective weight classes. You kind of got to get through them if you want to get into that upper echelon, but I don't know necessarily that they're the top guys at their weight class right now.
Well, that's right, and we're talking with Jordan and Brian, MMA Nonstop. We can get to their website and follow them on Twitter, guys. Tell the listeners how they can do that.
Yeah, definitely. MMANonstop.com, your first place for all your news and notes in the world of MMA. We also have some great, all your news from all over the website is combined in one place. So if you like, if you like MMA Junkie, MMA Share Dog, but if you like the book on UFC, if you like the over-unders, for very own Brian Churchin, from Brendan Churchin, and the big body recap by Nabil Rabadi, who is going to be covering each fight for us. He covers each fight for us the day after. Head over to MMANonstop.com or follow us at Nonstop MMA on Twitter and Facebook. Also, we have some great podcasts. We had our good friend Eve Edwards on the show last week, talking about his upcoming fight on December 3rd. At the Ultimate Fighter finale on Spike. But great, head over to, we've had Uriah Faber on the show, Frankie Edgar, and we got some exciting shows lined up. So definitely check us out, MMANonstop.com, and follow us at Nonstop MMA on Twitter.
Yeah, that may confuse you, but you just got to write it down, know what you're doing, and we do both. So we appreciate it, fellas. Thanks again. Always a pleasure. We had Eve on the show last week, a local guy here in Central Texas, enjoyable, and he also plays in our Laying Down the Law Fantasy Football League. So
we need to get in on that next year.
Okay. Very well. We look to see y'all soon. Thanks for taking the time this morning, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Watch that Cowboys-Redskins game, at least a little bit of it if you can. That's going to be a great one.
We'll do it. Hey, you guys have a great holiday this week. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Boss Eddie, thanks a lot.
All right, appreciate it. There it is. MMA Nonstop, Nonstop MMA when you talk about the Twitter handle.